Howdy, lieutenants and economists.
The most volatile, evil, disgusting things on the planet, humans. If you have a video request, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com.
Yeah, I am gonna charge you, kids. And that is the importance of not fucking up.
You are such an asshole!
Hey everybody, Captain here, and we got a video request. I haven't done an original in a while, it's just because I've been sick, and I've been trying to work and all this other crap, so I apologize if there hasn't been any original ones, but we'll be getting to that. This comes from Carl. Carl writes, when I first heard one of your rants, it felt like I was listening to someone from my past, and now I see you started out in Milwaukee. I grew up in Waukesha. I'm a 60-year-old old fart, and I've been telling kids they need to do a return on investment on any kind of school, and if they aren't taking math, they should forget about it for years. A few even listened to me. I've been surprised how much we are on the same page. One thing you haven't talked about is reverse competition. And he provides a link here, I'll get to that. Learning about this is key to kids. When there are three people in a deal, someone almost always is getting screwed. Avoiding overinsurance is one way to avoid it. Avoiding government is another, but much harder to do these days. Anyway, I'll sponsor a rant on this. Learning to recognize a three-party deal is a key life skill. One bit I would disagree with you on is the value of women with very low or zero partner numbers. It matters. I don't think I necessarily disagree. I learned this back in the 80s when I was overseas in a conservative country in Asia. Unlike the U.S. girls who have ridden a bunch of bad boys, these girls kept their pants on and weren't damaged goods. Now this coming from, I continue reading this because this is from a 60-year-old man. This is not some virgin towel or angry guy over in the United States that can't get laid. This is coming from an older man, so he has wisdom beyond my years. They didn't have the hostility towards men that I saw in U.S. girls. They were much more fun to hang out with, bright, happy personalities. Finding a girl outside of our socialist culture can be a very good deal. It worked for me anyway. That being said, I told my son not to get married. It is insane to enter a contract that you don't get to write and only gives up rights for men. And the girls in their 20s today are almost all emotional black holes. Look at this guy unloading both barrels. He's like, before I go, blam. I can appreciate the interest in screwing a bunch of women. But I've also seen guys get imprinted on girls they really didn't know and totally messed up the rest of their lives. Unless you are up to being a player, there are some real emotional risks in finding yourself in bed with damaged goods that have it in for men. It is often really good advice to wait and be sure to know what you're getting into. Putting one's dick in crazy can totally ruin a young man, and the likelihood of crazy seems to go up with a girl's number. If you have the urge to call, blah, blah, blah. All right, so thank you very much, Sir Carl. I did look up reverse competition, and I'll talk about it. We'll read it real quick. This is from the Wikipedia entry. Reverse competition is most often a three-part deal where the buyer may or may not know about the commissions, kickback, or finder's fees. There are always three parties to make this work: the buyer, the decision maker, the seller. Sadly, three-party scams are not an exception. They are the rule. One CEO I talked to tells me he estimates about 60% of all three-party transactions are crooked. Money spent on private eye sting operations and audits designed to catch higher costs is money well spent. If your company pays average costs, assume one of those costs include kickbacks. And so then he goes through a couple examples here. The title insurance scam. The house buyer is often required to have title insurance by the lender. If the lender or real estate agent points the buyer to a title insurance company, he gets a commission based off the cost of insurance. The agent will likely get the biggest kickback from the most expensive insurance company, so competition not only fails to work, it works in reverse, so costs are going up. Most often, the buyer has no knowledge of the commission. It states that enact disclosure laws, the commission simply goes under the table. Civil engineering racket. Suppose the city needs to add a water system, aka the buyer, the U.S. taxpayers, end up paying a huge amount. The engineer gets paid on commission based on the total cost of the project, and often hands kickbacks to the people on the water board. Kickback is often in the form of a sweetheart business deal for the water board member that provides a return no one else would dream of getting. This ensures that the board member makes sure they use this particular engineer. Anyway, so if we go on, there's corporate insurance, elected official, medical advice. I'll give you one: banking. Bankers, it could still be today that they're paid this way. I don't know, I haven't been in there. But bankers make their money on commission. as a percentage of the loan. So they have an incentive not only to make the loan as large as possible and to jack up interest rates as high as possible, but to approve all the loans as much as possible, even if the loans won't get paid back. And you saw a lot of this during the housing bubble, where they were just, all these mortgage brokers were just approving all these loans for these people who could not afford these McMansions at 1% ARM interest rates. And what happened when it goes up to 3%? So we're all kind of familiar with it. But yeah, this is, my take on it is, when it's bad and corrupt and evil, yes, you will get reverse competition. You will get increased prices or bad service, or as in the case of the housing, but even the education bubble, you get an economic crisis that will cripple the economy. So it's all bad. That being said, I'm not against using third parties as long as it's suggested in here they're audited and you're making sure you're getting good price. It could be, well, you also see this in recruiters. What would it be in the three groups here? The buyer, you are buying labor, would be the employer. The decision maker, I guess, is the potential employee. And the seller is the person trying to sell you to the buyer. Is that how it would work? But those employment firms, they jack up. They take a huge cut. Of the payment that the employer is paying you. Now, that all being said, sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes it's like, fine, I don't want to go and look for a job. I'd rather outsource that to a recruiter, and I'm done with it. And it's worth it to me to lose 20-30% of my income because I hate it that much. And actually, I do hate it that much. I'm like, what? Just find me a fucking job. I don't care. Nope, that's you. That's you, Miss HR lady recruiting type person. You go make the phone calls. I'm not gonna. I'll show up and do the monkey boy thing when you want me to. So it's not bad, and it almost is very efficient because without these third party people. But there's always going to be that risk that obviously, yes, the third party person is going to have incentives that go against it. Now, there's ways you can arrange. They say no, you're going to go with this specified supplier or vendor or contractor. Here is a budget that you get to work with. There's ways to put it, but yeah, this is just something that I would say for younger people to look out for this. For you youngsters out there, or even you middle-aged people who haven't done any kind of business, if you just haven't done any business, this is why I avoid business partners. And when you have three people involved, it's so easy for two to like gang up on the other one, especially if you have the money. They'll be the ones to gang up on you. So yeah, just look out for this. Always try to be smart, be a wise consumer. But when it comes to starting businesses, yes, boy, I would avoid business partners with all your might. Absolutely, do it yourself. I know you're bored. I know, like, well, it'd be really great to have my buddy Steve help me out. Yeah, you think it'd be great until Steve fucks you in the ass and takes your money. Just don't do it. So, anyway, that's all we got. Hopefully, old Captain will be better. And we get some original videos later. Toodles.